It's a pleasure for me to be here together with Matteo and Teresa and Filippo Gavazzini, head of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. The pact is a global commitment signed by 200 and more than 280 mayors that are working together in transforming urban food system. Cultivate is one out of 5 different horizons on food policies that we are involved in, and it's a very important chunk of work for us because food waste reduction is the 6th pillar of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. So let me start with a brief presentation of the Milan local hubs. This is the functioning model of the hubs. This model started in with the first hub opened in 2019 after I would say quite 2 years of administrative work in order to, let's say, to set up the model, but I can mention this a little bit on the challenges for the scaling up. Basically, it was an intuition of the previous mandate of the previous mayor by signing a memorandum of agreement among the municipality and Asso Lombarda, which is a company union, and Politecnico of Milano, which is an university, to, let's say, join forces in order to create a model that could respond in a very tangible way to food waste prevention. So you can see the fluxes here by involving private companies like supermarkets and retailers of a specific. We started from a specific part of Milan, the northern part, because we found, let's say, the first space from the municipality in the northern part of Milan. So thanks to Asso Lombarda, which is this company unit, we were able to involve the private companies and with the support of the Politecnico, we developed the logistic model that was able to with drone to collect the surplus food from these private companies and to bring in the morning in this first, let's say, hub. The hub was a very important, let's say, logistic place because we are able, let's say, to mix the produce. We are able to mix the different surplus in order to create, let's say, different in one box, in one donation, different a wide array of produces. And at the same time, let's say in the second part of the day, we are serving from the hub the NGOs coming for bringing the surplus. We have also involved the canteens from different companies, and this was, let's say, the first pilot, the first model that then was developed, and now we have 5 more hubs that are working more or less with some peculiarities, but in the same way. With some peculiarities. So why? So we have the first hub, which is Hub Isola in 2019, that we launched the Lambrate hub, and then we have a specific hub which we are particularly proud of, which is the hub within the wholesale market of Milan of fruit and vegetable. The wholesale market, Sogemi, is a company owned by the municipality of Milan, and after the experience of the COVID-19, in which we open an hub in order, let's say, to collect donations for family needs during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I was in particular I was responsible for all this donation and this logistic within the wholesale market. So from this hub that we opened in 2021, after, let's say, this experience, is very important because from there, we are able to collect fresh fruit and vegetable. And then we have also two other hubs that are peculiar, as I mentioned in the previous slide, because we have Hub Centro and Hub Galaratese that are multi-service. That means that they have let's say social supermarket, and also Hub Galaratese have a specific services devoted to support families and children. So about the challenge of the quantity, here you can see the food that we have been able to collect in 2021 until 2023. So from 170 tons to 615 tons. Now we have 5 hubs, as I mentioned, we are able to reach 27,000 of vulnerable people, and we are also able, thanks to this food that we prevent, let's say, to go to the organic cycle and the organic waste management. We avoided 1,400 tons of CO2 emissions. About the challenge of quantity, I would like to share how is important for the future to think about infrastructure, new infrastructure that might be maybe smaller, but well spread in the city of Milan, also involving smaller actors and partners that can be more flexible within this model. Also because the, let's say, food surplus is not predictable. So we need flexibility and a model which is should be perfectly widespread in the city. Okay, so we started thanks to the work of my colleague Teresa, the co-designing and the scaling up of the project. So the food policy department gathered around 30, 40, 36 NGOs that were candidates to be part of this co-designing for the scaling up of the model. And at the end, after the preparatory workshops and the co-designing session, we selected 25 NGOs with the solution that you can see in the slide. And at the end, 5 projects were selected and funded by the municipality. Then, of course, Teresa, if you want to jump in, please do it. Okay, so about the geographical coverage. Here you can see the 3 action coming out from the co-designing here. And we have the first action, which is empowering existing hubs. And you can see, well, the funds provided in the center of the slide, and then who is involved. So 4 hubs, 4 partners, and then starting new hubs, 13 partners, and the objective is to start 3 new hubs in order to have 8 hubs active in the city, able also to cover, to be more widespread, as I mentioned before, and to cover all the neighborhoods of the city. Then we have action C, so the integration with the street market, which is quite a very interesting action with 7 partners and 20 markets. So we have 12 markets already involved, and we want to starting this, let's say, this service, this action in 8 new markets, and also expanding the hub within the wholesale market that I mentioned. Before. This is, let's say, the geographical challenge for scaling up. But at the same time, I would like to mention that we are also trying to do our best to export this model in many other cities of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, which are interested in this model. And of course, well, I think this is the key point for scaling up also in other territories, in other cities of the Milan Pact, is to train properly the officers, like the city officers that can, let's say, start the model, because the bureaucracy, I have to say it, the bureaucracy at the very beginning of this process was very challenging. I remember that I was involved in it, and it took us like around 2 years to understand how the municipality could be, let's say, the manager, the focal point of the public-private partnership that let's say is the most important part of this model, and how the municipality can find, let's say, a place owned by the municipality, actually, that can be, say, devoted to this service. So train the officers of other cities is, well, of course, is the true aim of the Milan Pact, but is essential to scale up also in other cities the models. Then, well, why public-private partnership, which I just mentioned, because these are the, let's say, the main actors that are involved in the models. And we start, well, the first one is the City of Milan, Fondazione Carpro, which is our partner foundation with which we started the Milan food policy. Then, of course, as I mentioned, Asso Lombarda and Politecnico, that are part of the MOU. And on the last part of the slide, you can see all the NGOs and the organization that are the main NGOs organization that are involved in the model. Finally, to conclude, this maybe you are already familiar with it, but in 2021 we won the Earthshot Prize. It was like the first edition of the Earthshot Prize of the Royal Foundation. Under the category Build a Waste-Free World, providing us £1 million to scale up the model. And you can see, well, in this picture, let's say the first let's say the core team quite at the beginning of this journey, having private sector and public sector NGOs here representing during let's say the celebration of the Earthshot Prize. The Earthshot Prize is very helpful because, well, of course, it's important for the scaling up in the city, but at the same time, it's very important for the scaling up worldwide within the Milan Pact. And just to give you a last example before closing my presentation and maybe giving the floor to Matteo or Teresa to add something, we were able to host 10 cities, US and European cities last July, that came here for 1 week to understand and let's say export the model, and at the same time to support them to create their first food waste reduction action plan. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I leave the floor to Teresa or Matteo, or to you if you have any questions for me.
I think, thank you, Filippo. It was a brilliant and timely presentation, and it covered much better than I did last time all the journey. It was present. I wasn't all the journey that this venture undertake. And now the challenge is very important, because as we say, as Filippo mentioned, there is strategies to apply, to foresee if you want to grow. And if you want to grow, of course, we demonstrate it is replicable is definitely replicable, and we need to find out how it will be scalable. And two different strategies: go big, go for the bigger companies, go contact a bigger company and focus on the bigger company, or as Filippo mentioned before, going with the hyper-local company, very little company, very community-based company that guarantee turnover of diverse products. This is what Teresa is discussing with the co-designing people that I interviewed, Teresa and Andrea and Filippo, and those two options are still open to develop. But the main problem that Teresa told me now we are facing, the main challenge is the venues where those things happen. Because to replicate this model, you need premises, you need space, and the space not only are scarce in the city. Milan is under a gentrification process, and it's very difficult to find premises, space available for this in the city, and those places costs. So there is a second related challenge, which is the sustainability of that. So not just growing the food you're providing, you rescue and provide it for the people, but also manage it as costs involved. So this is why we launched this. I discussed with Teresa before having this meeting, and she said the most serious challenge now is to help to identify these places which possibly cover even more areas in the city, and to help the organization to support them financially.
But anyways, I think, thank you, Matteo, for introducing also the challenge. I think we will be coming back to this in a couple of minutes, but I wanted to open the floor really to questions from the audience now. We have some 5-6 minutes. Alexander, I see your thumb raised, so you have a question or appreciation.
Hi, Matteo. You said either go with the big companies or hyper local. Why can this be an and? Like, do this and the other? Or maybe I understood it not correctly. I don't know.
No, I think I misexpressed it, but it's both. It can be both, of course. But what gives the quickest answer to local needs, and who is the most responsive to local needs is not or is and, of course. But we were discussing what gives them the quickest answer to your hyper local needs. There are different testing opportunities going on in the city, where I heard of some which is working as a facilitator. So the rescue is done by the organization. You just help them identify which is the closest place for you to go and rescue your food in neighbor. So, but this is something has been developed somewhere else in other cities, and maybe someone in Milan want to try it. And it's all a question of testing and see what is more responsive to local needs. And local needs changes in different neighbors. Is fun facts, but it happened.
I have another one. Can I go for another one, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Recently I was speaking with the city of Athens. They have now a new mayor, and new mayor wants to do with great dynamic new things. And I was wondering whether about this Milan Pact, whether how open it is, how you are open to inform others, whether if they're not in the Milan Pact, etc., because they might be very, very interested, I think. And before I hook you up, I wanted to ask you.
No, I'm so lucky to have Filippo here now, if he's still in.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the question. Athens is a already signatory city, but let me say that it's not very active. So very happy that the new mayor, as you just mentioned, is interested in this. So if you could, let's say, put in contact with the focal point in the municipality that are interested in this, very happy to do, let's say, an onboarding.
Okay.
for new people, let's say new officers, because Athens is already a signatory city, so no
Okay.
no need to any kind of bureaucratic procedures or nothing. So very happy to understand what might be their learning needs on this and other issue of the food system, and also involve them in the future in futures activities. So if you
Fantastic.
could put us in contact, it would be fantastic.
Fantastic. They are planning a meeting. I think we have a meeting, I think, this Friday with some NGOs that their deem should be on the discussion of all this. What you done the same thing. What you just highlighted, which is really interesting. And other than that, I mean, they just got elected, so I wouldn't have my hopes up yet. But I've gone through, I think, 3 or 4 different mayors now in Athens. It's a mess. It's a mess. So I wouldn't get my hopes up yet, but I will do from my part whatever I can in order to push them. No worries, because it's a shame. You have such a fantastic know-how. It's a shame to not to harness it. Thank
That
you.
would be
Great.
super. I wrote for everyone my email in the chat. So if you see an opportunity, happy to be put in contact with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Filippo. Thank you. Very kind.
Thanks, Alex, for the question. We have 2 more minutes. Is there any more questions from the audience about also the scaling up of the food hubs? I don't see an immediate one. I see Helen. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, it's a slight, I don't know whether it's just my understanding or not. I just wanted to clarify something. Hello. But it was really interesting seeing all the partners, like the commercial partners. There were so many of them. Are they all people that you source food from, like surplus food, or there are partners also coming on board bringing other things like funding and volunteers, that kind of thing?
So what you see is the signatory first, group of memorandum of agreement of understanding that started it, and the first group you saw was the company union, and which sensitized supermarkets chain to donate foods. So they were the one who were providing food, surplus. And so Politecnico di Milan is the provide technical expertise to monitor and to evaluate the impact. And then you have Fondazione Cariplo, which I introduced last time, which is a philanthropic donor. So they give also they fund activities. Then you have also technical sponsors that provide fundings for local hubs or premises in kind, like they provide spaces, they provide the premises where to do the hub, and the contribution could be in kind. There are a lot of in kind contribution from companies and from other organizations. And then you have all the managers, which are NGOs. And from the second line backwards, downwards, you have all the managing organizations. They put together their capacity, their volunteers, and also their resources to make it work. But you will see all in 1 month's time when you will have your body visits here.
First of all, thank you all for being here, for making this 11 webinars such a really for everybody, also for our team, so interesting and so valuable, and you have shared so much. And yeah, we're just very happy that also there has been so much relationship building along the line. So thank you to all of you. We appreciate it very much. And yeah, what we wanted to do now is to have a wave of celebration, and I can show it to you once. I would do it very quiet because I'm in an office, but the sound would go like, oh, way, and we all do the wave. So I will stop sharing again. Sorry for all the sharing and unsharing. And maybe we can all unmute. And I don't know in which kind of office space you are, if you want to go very loud or just do it very silently. But let's start on 3. Does everybody understand what we're going to be doing? Okay, great. So let's start in 1, 2, 3.
Whoa!
Okay, great. Thank you so much for doing this with us.